In this video, we're going to talk about what's going on with GameStop, Wall Street bets, and how I have talked about for years that the stock market was rigged, and this is going to be proof positive of my hypothesis of how the stock market is rigged and how this GameStop thing has been a problem for a lot of Wall Street people. So we're going to talk about it. So the first thing we need to talk about is what happened. And the first thing that happened was there's this Reddit, Wall Street bets, and some Redditors noticed that people were doing massive shorting of GameStop. And for good reason. GameStop has a dying business model. What's going on with GameStop is that people are moving to online downloads versus going out and buying physical games. So at some point, GameStop is going to go the way of Blockbuster. When people used to go rent DVDs, it's going to go the same way. So eventually they're going to perish. And a lot of heavy money realized this, and they start making bets, shorting the stock, because they knew that this eventually was going to happen and they were going to make a lot of money. But what these Redditors did, which is kind of genius, is they actually started buying the stock. And with shorting, there's a thing where you can lend your stock out if you wanted to. And the Redditors were buying this stock and they refused to allow it to be lent out. Therefore, all of this heavy money in Wall Street had to come up with more money because it kept pushing the price up. So one guy who had invested like 50,000 has made like 22 million off of this scheme that started during the pandemic, at the beginning stages of the pandemic. This has been going on a while. And one of the things is the market fundamentals of GameStop are trash. They're 100% trash. I mean, but the stock price is soaring because of the manipulation and of the rigging that is the stock market. For the first time in history, the rigging has worked for the little guy. A lot of regular average people are making crazy money off of this scheme. And here's the thing. GameStop as a company, once again, its market fundamentals are trash. They're going to go out of business. It's trash. But because the stock market is rigged, they're making money off of a company that is slowly dying. I want you to think about that. The marketplace fundamentals of GameStop don't matter. They absolutely don't matter because of this scheme that the Redditors at Wall Street bets and the big hedge fund managers, because essentially the hedge funds got caught with their pants down because they didn't think that somebody, and this shows you the vast power of the internet. And this is one of the things, because this is kind of the hope for Bitcoin, which is crashing, by the way, that the power of the people. And, I'm gonna give you a parallel. Many, many years ago, and this is gonna be kind of hard to Google because it happened so long ago, the black students of University of North Carolina, Michael Jordan's University of North Carolina, all got together and voted for their homecoming queen. There was only like 2,500, maybe 3,000 black students out of a campus population of 21,000. And for 6 years straight, they had a black homecoming queen because these 2,500, 3,000 black students got together and coordinated and worked well together to get what they wanted. And this is what the Redditors are doing. They're working together. They're sharing information. And this is one of the things that's happened because they had a Discord server which got shut down. And then they're having Robinhood and some of these other brokerage accounts have stopped trading on GameStop. Essentially, what happened to the black university students of North Carolina who had this black homecoming queen is they changed the rules at a higher level. Because essentially, if the white students had went together and got support for their white homecoming queen, they would have won every year, but they didn't want to do that. So this is what's happening to the Redditors, since the Redditors are colluding. Colluding is a bad word. The Redditors are colluding, they're sharing information, they're pumping each up. They're like, don't have no stop loss. Don't be playing around. They're supporting each other, they're encouraging each other, and they're working really, really well together. And they've cost one fund, I think Melvin Capital had to infuse $3 billion cash, if I'm correct, because the Redditors have forced them to cover their positions. And this is the thing, when you short a stock or long a shot, or have a stock long, you're making a bet that the stock is going to go up or the stock is going to go down. Now, this is one of the things that happens when you make bets and you lose money. And this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen, because once again, it just shows you the enormous power of information and the enormous power of the internet. Because this is all being driven by Reddit. And this is going to happen again. Because I got a clip, I'm going to insert this clip now of a guy who's breaking it down, who's explaining it better than I can, and then I'm going to jump back in.
All right, Sagar, what's on your radar?
Well, I have a confession to make. This is the first story that's excited me in a long time. Covering the pandemic and Trump and Stop the Steal and Capitol riots and the Biden presidency, it's been a real bummer. And I have not felt a pep in my step like this in many months, and it is now thanks to a bunch of Redditors going after the people I despise the most in our society, speculators on Wall Street. By now, I'm sure that you're all familiar with the story. Hedge funds and billionaires took out a massive short position on the company called GameStop. A band of Redditors on a subreddit called WallStreet Bets called their bluff, drove the stock up to the tune of thousands of percentile more to force those hedge funds to liquidate billions of dollars in losses, while the merry band of Redditors gets rich. It's the ultimate David and Goliath story. Underemployed and unemployed, sitting at home in their pajamas, using the power of the internet and new trading platforms like Robinhood to destroy the kings of American finance. We are never going to go back to the old ways of doing business, and Wall Street knows this. So what's their solution? It's one that we, my friends, must resist absolutely at all costs. Now they know that they do not have a monopoly on manipulating the market. They are going to do everything in their power to go after you and people like me who are not on the side of the billionaire elite. As I laid out yesterday, they are already going into overdrive on CNBC, who started off yesterday by inviting the literal CEO of the NASDAQ on to call for more regulation. Let's take a listen to that again.
One of the things that we're talking about is maybe misinformation and pump and dumps, and it's occurring on social media again. It just, I'm wondering whether it's part of the same problem, the type of regulation that we finally need to consider. And like I said, we should always have a light touch with regulation, but you're seeing the way things can get started. Again, this is different. Maybe it's Reddit, maybe it's not Facebook, but you're seeing the same situation. At this point, it's not about an election. It's not about an insurrection, but there are interesting things happening that seem to be spawned to some extent, or at least blown out of proportion by social media again. Adina.
Well, I do think, though, that as we look at these new technologies that are there available to everyone, including investors, I think it's also important for regulators to understand that, manipulation is manipulation, whether it's happening through a new technology medium or it's happening through traditional mail. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that we understand what the behavior is, what's underpinning the behavior, and working appropriately with the regulators to manage the situation.
Yeah, you heard that correctly. The guy from CNBC who hates regulation is now calling for more regulation. And the CEO of the head of one of the largest trading exchanges in the world is agreeing with him. Notice, when hedge funds manipulate markets, when they screw over regular people in different companies, when Wall Street requires billions of dollars in bailouts and floats from the Federal Reserve, there isn't any call for more regulation. But a couple of average Joes on the internet make money at the expense of a billionaire hedge fund. Well, that just can't stand. And I'm not exaggerating here, just showing you one clip. The idea across the American elite right now is that what has happened with GameStop is unacceptable. Don't believe me? Check this out. As GameStop and other stocks soared, Arthur Levitt Jr., he decided to weigh in. And if you don't know who that is, it's the former SEC chairman who literally presided over the dot-com bubble and was appointed by Bill Clinton, who perhaps more than any president is responsible for much of the financialization of our economy beginning in his administration. Levitt wrote an op-ed in Bloomberg calling for a full agency investigation into online stock trading platforms, and said that social media is taking advantage of users' behavioral psychology and pushing them into dangerous territory. Okay, maybe. I don't even really disagree with that. But doesn't it just tell you everything? That this is what they want to investigate now? That this is what they want the government to do something about now? Don't underestimate how mainstream this view is. Yesterday, the White House press secretary said Janet Yellen is, quote, monitoring the situation. Elizabeth Warren tweeted out that we needed more regulation. The state securities regulator for the state of Massachusetts said GameStop trading should be halted for 30 days. And the SEC now says they're working with regulators to assess the situation, review the activities, and other participants. Like I said, hey, maybe that's justified, but you people are silent on the crimes of the actually influential people who rig our economy on a daily basis. You want a near-perfect corollary? Billionaire investor Bill Ackman. He went on CNBC in March 2020 to give an emotional interview to say hell is coming and that hotel stocks would go to zero. His interview sparked a panic sell on Wall Street. It is seen in retrospect as one of the precipitating events of that drop. Guess what? At the exact same time, right after that interview, Ackman was buying billions of dollars in the stock as it hit rock bottom. In fact, he pocketed $2 billion in bets against the market as it was crashing. It was a crash that he helped spawn through his influence, through his media appearance. Call me when the SEC and the media and others actually get upset about that. When Ackman got some bad press, but he still got billions in the bank. Call me when the government does anything about behavior like that happens every single day on the street. Here's the other thing. The elites control the institutions. When millions of people woke up and they saw this story and they checked Wall Street bets on Reddit, they decided, hey, you know what? I want in. And so they decided to try. And the companies themselves decided that they know better. At one point, Robinhood, E-Trade, and TD Ameritrade were all down as the market opened. But TD Ameritrade actually went further than anyone. They decided, you know what? These idiots don't know anything. They decided to block their own customers from trading stocks that were popular on Reddit. Once again, maybe this is justifiable. When's the last time a major trading exchange or a regulatory body or anyone blocked billionaires from executing their crazy gambling schemes? Never. Not once, because they own the exchanges. They reign supreme because they literally control everything. And it turns out that was the beginning of elite collusion. Later in the day, the site Discord, which runs the private chat servers, took down Wall Street Bet's chat forum, claiming that they had violated the terms of service for reasons other than their content, claiming that it had something hateful on there. And then the motherlode, Wall Street Bet subreddit itself, had to take itself private, at least for a short period yesterday, presumably because of threats from the site's admins that they would be unable to moderate the content without running afoul of platform policy. This is oligarchy, using government and private company control to enforce policies which benefit only the elites at the top. It's never been more naked. The good news is that this is just the beginning. Google decentralization. Google democratization of finance. The internet showed us the way, and we can follow it all. And that's the thing, Crystal, which is that, okay, yeah, the SEC, is this all good for society? No, it's not. Speculation is bad. But these people have been speculators and for so long. And if speculators are going to be legal, if it's all going to be legal, then why shouldn't at least the people at the bottom, the little people, actually be able to do it too? But now the SEC is getting involved. They said they're monitoring the situation. The former chairman who presided over the financialization of our economy is like, whoa, you got to investigate this. Everybody on CNBC is calling for regulation. Discord just deplatforms the entire website. Now Robinhood says you can't buy, AMC stock. We'll only allow you to sell it. I mean, there are just TD Ameritrade is jumping in for the good of their customers and all of that.
So noble.
Exactly. Where were you? You people? Where's the NASDAQ CEO when her exchange is used on a daily basis with high-frequency trading, which has flash crashed our markets? I don't even know how many times. They don't care. That's all good because they make money on the exchange.
Well, and because those are their people.
That's the thing.
Their class.
They would go bankrupt if they actually did that. When Bill Ackman's scheme, which it's pretty obvious to me, gets investigated by the SEC, you can call me. You can go after the Redditors.
Yeah.
Until then, I don't want to hear it. When is Bloomberg Chat going to take down, because on the Bloomberg terminals, it's called IB Chat. They can all talk to each other. When they take down the chats and they start monitoring there of all the insider trading and all of the collusion that's happening on a daily basis between the ultra-rich, then you can take down the Discord server.
I've heard there's some hateful speech on there, so we're going to have to look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was maybe the most egregious. I know there were a lot of egregious moments, but when Discord put out, this has nothing to do with GameStop, there's just some naughty language on there we've got to deal with. It's like, oh, really? It's just a pure coincidence that on the day that they're screwing over Wall Street and actually forcing these elites to take it on the chin, that's when you decide to get serious about content moderation. Okay, sure, whatever. But also, think about how this all started and why they decided to go in on GameStop to start with. It's because the hedge funders had shorted 140% of GameStop's stock.
Yeah.
Where's the regulation about that?
Yeah.
Why is that legal? I mean, if you're going to talk about, we need regulation, how come no one in this elite class is mentioning, maybe that's not a really super smart thing to do. Maybe that's not something that should be ultimately legal. Now, I will say, I would bet that these hedge funds think twice about taking those super ultra aggressive positions again because they want to avoid exactly this situation again.
I don't think so.
I think they'll feel like, I do. I actually think it will curb their behavior on the margins because they don't want to be the ones that are all in on, 140% of shorting a company's stock. That was over the top, greedy, and egregious. And that's what made them a target ultimately. Where's the talk of regulation around that? I didn't hear a word about that yesterday whatsoever.
Melvin Capital required a $3 billion infusion of cash. Now, they say they closed out their position. I don't know if that's true or not. But, I mean, back of the napkin math shows that they maybe lost $10 billion. $10 billion. That's real money. That could actually help people. This is completely crazy. And, where's the call for regulation on that? Why should that guy be allowed to trade ever again? He basically caused, a bubble in our markets. Where's the SEC? Go ahead and bar him. They're not going to do it. Bill Ackman's out there.
There's all the hand-wringing about, this may not match the fundamentals of the market.
There's no fundamentals.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
It's all fake. If we ever have needed a lesson in that, look at during the pandemic when people were getting these headlines, dueling headlines of people losing their jobs, record-breaking unemployment and job loss, and at the same time it's stock market reaches a new high. The whole damn thing is fake. Give me a break.
Right, and what they want to do is they want to protect their monopoly on the ability to manipulate the market and make money. That's what all this is about. I mean, even with the Discord thing, I saw this great observation. Discord was the ability for Reddit users in order to discuss what their next trades would be in the after-hours moments. Well, so they got deplatformed, and then their subreddit went down while the markets were closed. You think the market's closed for the people at the top? They're not schmucks. They can trade offline. They can put through trades between one another. Their Bloomberg terminals are working just fine. That is literally rigging the markets in their favor. Everything is rigged in their favor. They have servers closer to the NASDAQ for their trades to get there 0.25 seconds before you're in mine so that they can trade off of us and drive our prices marginally up, which means billions of dollars a year more for them. Everything is rigged in their favor, and they're doing everything they possibly can in order to rig it so that we are not able, in order to compete even on the smallest level, That's actually the crazy thing, which is even with Robinhood, look, all your Robinhood data, it's not actually free. They sell it to other people. That's how they actually make money. Even with this not even advantage, this one ability to compete, they can't even use that.
Take it.
They have to smack it down because any sort of equity.
Okay, that was crazy. Because essentially, the little guy has figured out how to win. The little guy went, because essentially, I want you to think of Reddit as a corporation. I want you to think of Reddit as a monolithic corporation. These almost 3 million Redditors have said, we're going to lock together, arm in arm, and we're going to work together, and we're going to beat these billionaires. And this is what they've done. And a lot of them are making a lot of money off of a company that has trash financials. Now, this is where I'm talking about. I don't invest in the stock market. I invest in my business, and that's been working out well for me. The whole thing is, and I've been saying this for years, with the pandemic, we saw that the market was rigged. We had more business closures during the pandemic than we did during the Great Depression. More businesses closed forever. Their doors are closed. There's a GameStop. There was a GameStop near me. It was one of the first businesses to shut down. And we're once again, if you understand the stock market, you can make money on the way up. You can make money on the way down if you have a good understanding, because the stock market doesn't deal with company financials in the present moment. Another stock, Boeing had trash financials. Stock starts soaring. People, because essentially, the way that I understand it, because I have no money in the stock market, but the way I understand it is you can buy a temporary position in the company, let this company explode, then sell at the top. And this is how people are making money with stocks and playing these games. But once again, the stock market is rigged. It isn't operating on true marketplace fundamentals. Because if it was, some of the market's kind of crashing right now because a lot of these true marketplace fundamentals are starting to flow into the market. But once again, even with that, you still have people who know how to play the game. So to the Redditors, hats off, because you're playing the game. You're playing the game. Once again, if you don't play the game, you can't win. And many folks are not playing the game. I want you to really think, 3 million people got together and created a plan, and they executed, and they bought these stocks, and they spent money, and they forced the hedge funds to cover their positions because, hey, you cannot, I'm going to buy this stock, but you can't loan it out, which means that it reduced the number of GameStop stock that was out there to be purchased, which drove the price up. It's crazy when you look at it, but here's the thing. And this is one of the things that I be spitting, I be screaming, I be pushing you guys. Become corporate citizens. Become corporate citizens so you can play the game. Right? This is a corporate vehicle. I'm in a $120,000 BMW. That is a corporate vehicle that's going to get me $120,000 in deductions. I'm playing the game. You got to play the game. Because essentially, because I've got some people who are like, hey, Glendon, how can you do this? So let me get this straight. You're going to create a company in your corporate structure that's designed to create losses. Yes. Because you got to play the game. These Redditors are playing the game, and it has become a problem for a lot of people. It has become a problem for a lot of folks who were thinking, because essentially these billionaires were playing the game in a very high level. And they were able to get away with manipulating, moving the market, kind of like Bitcoin whales. What you're going to see, it's going to happen. You're going to see Bitcoin crash because one of these whales is going to decide to take profits. And this one whale is going to sell a lot of Bitcoin, and this is just going to crash the market. And essentially, speaking of cryptocurrency, 40% of cryptocurrency is held by, I think, literally 2 or 3% of the crypto buyers. So essentially, what this does is put a lot of power and leverage in just a few hands. And this is what was going on with the stock market until the Redditors, they were like, the internet is wicked. The internet, I don't care what you do. The internet's gonna find out about it and they're gonna post your life and they're gonna do it. Because I was just sitting there, and this is the power of collaboration or colluding. They got together, they discussed it amongst themselves, and they took action. They took action. And one of the things that you got to understand, if you become a corporate citizen, you can do something in your personal life what these Redditors have exposed. Because Youngling. These Redditors have figured some stuff out. And one of the things that you've got to understand is you can do this on a personal level. You can do this if you want to go ahead and start researching, building, and colluding and cooperating. You can do that. You can do similar stuff, because this ain't the first time. This is the first time that this happened on this massive level. Short selling goes on every day, and this is the first time that the collective Wall Street got caught with their pants down, because the Redditors, they understood the rules of the game. I got this saying: don't hate the player. Don't hate the game, learn the rules of the game so you can win. And the Redditors have learned the rules of the game. They learned the rules. There's one dude who turned $50,000 into $22 million during this scheme. That is generational wealth. And hopefully he cashes out and collects the bag. Because one of the things that you got to understand, these games are not going to stop. This ain't going to be the first time this is going to happen, because this is one of the things. When you make money a certain way for a long, long time, it's hard for you to change your ways. It's hard for you to change your habits. So what you're going to find out is the big money is going to find another company like GameStop that is in trouble, and they're going to short it. And I guarantee you that people are going to be on the Reddit subreddits. They're going to be watching, they're going to be looking, and they're going to wait, and they're going to bide their time. They're going to hold their coins, and they're going to do this again. And it's probably going to happen 10, 15 times before the big money stops doing what they're doing. Understand, these guys have made billions and billions of dollars manipulating and rigging the market. You think they're gonna stop because this happened? Nah, player. They ain't gonna stop. They're gonna keep doing it. And this is gonna create opportunity for people who are paying attention. I'm like, because literally people are sending me stuff. It's like, what's going on with GameStop? What is the thing that's going on with them? And essentially, it is people who have figured out some stuff, and they took action, and they're applying themselves. This ain't gonna be the first time this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen again, because the big money is greedy. They've been making money like this for decades. Decades. You think they're gonna stop because we had this one little hiccup? When you got 50 billion and you lose 10 billion, you still got 40 billion. And you're gonna keep playing the same games that got you to 50 billion in the first place. They're not gonna stop. This is gonna happen again. There's something that's happening with AMC movie theaters. They're doing something similar with that. Once again, the stock market is rigged. It is rigged. And you got to educate yourself, because one of the things I plan on doing probably this summer is educating myself on the stock market and investing. Because for me, investing in my companies has made me a lot of money. So I'm going to keep doing that, because what did I just tell you? When you make your money a certain way, it's hard for you to change stripes. It's hard for you to do something else. This is why this is going to happen again. And if you are in position to win, because I want you to think, there have been people who have literally created generational wealth off of this scheme in 8 months. 8 months. $50,000 to $22 million. And there's a lot of stories of people in there who are winning, who are doing these things, who are playing the game. Like, once again, during the pandemic, I kept saying this, the market's going to crash. The market's crashed because, S&P is in the red for the year. It's starting to crash because at some point, marketplace fundamentals will filter in to the stock price. But until then, let the games play. And once again, if you're playing the game, you're going to understand how to do this. Because like I said, I don't know anything about the stock market. I don't play the stock market. I don't buy stocks. So I don't know that game. But I do know the corporate game. And the corporate game will allow you, I'm living in a $1 million house. I'm driving 6-figure cars. And I'm getting to use those as tax deductions in my corporate scheme. You got to understand, if you don't play the game, you can't win, baby. You cannot win. That was a rude interruption. But unless you're playing the game, you can't win. You're not going to get any money. And this is, like I said, hats off to the Redditors, hats off to the people, because this took a lot of groundwork. This took a lot of coordination. This took a lot of people contribute to this. And this shows you that what will happen if people come together and work together. This is what happens when people come together and work together. This is what happens. And it is so funny. It is so crazy what is going on. And like right now, people are doing live streams about this. People are, there are several videos about this because, like I said, I was encouraged to do a video because someone's like, what's going on with GameStop? And once again, GameStop as a company is trash. And people are making billions of dollars off of this trash company. Let me say this again. People are making billions of dollars off of this trash company because they're playing the stock market game. The company is more than likely going to go out of business. But because when you create a company, you create a corporate entity, it gives you the ability to put this kind of scheme into play. Again, GameStop is like 18, 19 years old, and it probably won't see its 25th birthday. But it don't matter because it's a corporate entity that has stock out there. Even though the stock from a technical analysis perspective is worthless, it's still able to be leveraged and used to play the game. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you can make millions of dollars as an individual investor or billions as a collective group off of a trash company. GameStop is trash. But this isn't going to stop someone from making millions of dollars off of this trash company stock. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it and you sit down. It's like, well, this company's probably going to go out of business. This company is, but once again, it just shows you the power of a corporation. GameStop is a corporation. And this is why I keep screaming and yelling and pushing. Come corporate citizens, get you your own corporation. Get your own corporation so you can start playing this game. Do you know that you could, all right, this is gonna sound crazy, but do you know that you could create a corporation, issue stock, not even have a product, and make $1 million? Because it's corporate. It's corporate. So for those of you, because I'm going to do some wild stuff in the corporate toolbox this year. Training is going to be going on for the rest of the year. If you want to be enrolled, the link is below. A lot is about to go down in the corporate toolbox because we're going to be talking about this, and I'm going to probably do a special webinar on how you can create a C Corp. There's an LLC and there's a C Corp. And you can create a C Corp and issue stock and actually don't even have a product, don't even have a service, make a lot of money and close that bad boy down. That's going to leave a lot of people losing money. But if you got someone who's one of those 40 billion, 50 billion billionaires investing like 100 million in your corporation and it don't work out, he good. He good. He's good. So that's my analysis of the rigged stock market. And go ahead below and enroll in the corporate toolbox because we're going to talk about a lot of this game and a lot of the things that you can do. Because once again, once you're playing the corporate game, this opens up so many doors for you to do so many things. It's just crazy. But the stock market's rigged, bro. It's rigged. And if you learn how to play the game, you can make you some money. So that's all I got to say on that. I'll see you guys in the next one.